Welcome to Better Everyday Life. Here, we share quiet stories and practical lessons for steadier, kinder growth. Breath. Today's topic, the moment that forces you to grow up overnight. Let's begin. There's a certain kind of phone call that changes you. Not good news. Not exactly bad news either. The kind that asks something of you that you're not sure you can give. A few days ago, I got one of those calls. It came from someone I barely knew, and what she asked me, and what it stirred up inside me, is something almost everyone will face one day, usually long before they feel ready, because there is one moment in life that forces a person to grow up faster than anything else. It isn't graduation, it isn't your first job, or your wedding day, or even becoming a parent. It's something much quieter than that, and much, much harder. We don't talk about it often, maybe because it touches two things we'd rather not think about at the same time. Breath, the people we love most, and money. Keys. But the two are tied together more tightly than we like to admit. And one day, life makes that knot impossible to ignore. The young woman who called me, I hadn't spoken to her in 3 years. We were never close. So when her name lit up my phone, I already knew something was wrong. Borst. Her father had a heart condition, and it had suddenly turned severe. The doctors said he needed surgery immediately, and the bill ran into the tens of thousands of dollars. She had just graduated. No real job yet. 4 years of school her parents had borrowed to pay for. There was nothing in the bank, nothing saved for a moment like this. And so, barely out of college, she was doing the hardest thing she had ever done, breath, calling near strangers one by one to ask for help. Here's what she told me about her parents. Her father was a construction worker. The pay was thin, and most weekends he'd sit out front, drinking with the other men from the site. And almost every time, the house would erupt. Chatroyo, not with laughter, but with the sound of two people in their 50s tearing into each other. For as long as she could remember, home had sounded like that. Satryu, the line she heard most as a child, was simple. Her mother would say, "Your father is a hopeless man, so you study hard, and you build a better life than this." And yet, when he fell ill, her mother was the one who fell apart. For days he couldn't eat. He grew thin and hollow. And the same woman who had fought him for 30 years suddenly turned unbelievably gentle, coaxing him to eat just a little more, to keep up his strength for the fight ahead. Her whole life, she had thought her parents' marriage was something to escape. If you're that unhappy, she'd told herself, why not just leave? But standing in that hospital, she felt something she never expected. Not pity, envy. Silence, 1.4s. Because what her parents had, underneath all the noise, was something rare. One person, for an entire life. Silence, 1.5s. Her story reminded me of a friend from my university years. His parents split when he was 17. He stayed with his mother, who ran a tiny food stall that barely broke even when the rains came. People like to say that divorce is two parents separating from each other, not from their child. But his father took it further than that. Sigh, he walked away from his son too. Years went by, without a single call, without a cent of support. Tai, his mother raised him alone, and it cost her. The exhaustion settled into her body, as sickness, and then one day, it caught up with her all at once. The doctors said she needed surgery, and the number they gave him was impossible. I'll never forget him, in that hospital hallway, days on the phone, dawn to midnight, trying to borrow money. His voice went hoarse, The tears just kept coming. He was afraid. Afraid he wouldn't raise enough. Afraid his mother wouldn't make it. Finally, with no options left, he called the father who had vanished from his life years ago. And the answer he got was like a bucket of ice water poured straight over his head. His father said, "Your mother and I are divorced. Go ask her side of the family." That sentence devastated him. But strangely, it didn't break him. It woke him up. He realized that in this entire world, his mother now had only him, which meant he could not afford to be weak. Not anymore. In the end, a few relatives lent a little. A handful of us students pooled what we had. It still wasn't enough. So his mother went home and held on with medication, one day at a time. And from that day forward, he became a different person. The shy, timid boy was gone. He threw himself into work, studying and earning at the same time. A life that was brutally hard. But something else had grown inside him. One person, now carrying the strength of several. Lifting the weight off his mother's shoulders and standing firm, without fear, watching him. I could feel an enormous force inside that small frame. The force of love and of hope. And maybe that's just what life is. Money isn't everything. But everything depends a little on money. It decides more than we'd like to believe. Sometimes it decides whether a person lives or dies. Silence, 1.0. And to earn it, we can't lean on anyone else. We can only lean on ourselves. Our family is simply the reason we find the strength to keep going at all. Someone once said that our parents are the wall, standing between us and death. Ached, while they're still here, life feels long and beautiful. It's only when they're gone that we understand how short it always was. There's a line in 100 Years of Solitude that says something similar, that we are separated from death by only a thin curtain. Our parents are that curtain. We don't feel death's presence because they have been standing in front of us our whole lives, blocking the view. When a neighbor passes, or even a friend, it doesn't press directly on us. But our parents are different. When they go, death stops being an abstract idea. Suddenly, it's real and close and ours. As rebellious teenagers, we ignore them. We argue with them. Some days, we just wish they'd leave us alone. Then we grow up and step into the world, and we learn to be patient with strangers. We learn to be gentle with people who mean nothing to us. Chores. But somehow, we never quite learn to be gentle with them. Chun. And only when they're gone for good, do we realize that our grip on this world has quietly become more fragile than it has ever been. We tell ourselves, there's plenty of time. There isn't. Time isn't cruel because it's slow. It's cruel because it never waits, not for anyone. So while you're young, don't waste it. Build something. Become capable. Become strong. Because in the moments that matter most, money is still a shield. It's still the thing that answers the questions nothing else can answer. If you want to stand tall in the storms that life will send you, you need solid ground beneath your feet, enough to protect yourself, and enough to protect the people you love. Don't wait for life to throw the ice water before you finally wake up. Don't wait until your mother or your father is lying in a hospital bed, and the only thing standing between them and help is money you don't have. So earn it. Not out of greed, but so that one day you'll carry fewer regrets. And then, do the second thing, the one we always forget. Take care of them now. Walk with them. Help them eat well. Take them for the checkups they keep putting off. I have an older friend who reached real financial security while he was still young. The day his father passed, he told me something I've never forgotten. He said the grief would stay with him for a long time, but the one thing he would never regret, breath, the one thing that let him breathe, was that while his father was alive, he'd had enough to give him the best care there was. That, more or less, is the whole reason we work as hard as we do. We can't let it come to the moment our parents need us and find that all we have left to offer them is tears. Silence 1.3s. This is the quiet truth of the world. Most of us will never understand real despair, simply because we've never been the one standing in that hospital hallway with empty hands. Ain, the breaking of an adult, so often begins right there, with money. Watching the people who raised you face the door of death and being able to do nothing but borrow and beg and wait. That is the moment. That is what makes a person grow up faster than anything else in the world. When we were small, our parents gave everything to shield us from the world. Growing up simply means the day we take that weight off their shoulders and place it on our own. The best son or daughter isn't the treasure held safe in a parent's arms. It's the shield that finally stands in front of them. Folius Silence 1.6. So keep going, keep building, so that one day you can stand somewhere higher and see a more beautiful view, so that you can give the people who raised you a softer, safer life. If this resonated with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next one. And until then, keep becoming a better version of yourself. One quiet day at a time.